Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to iDevice Focus. In today's super exciting tutorial, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the best iPhone camera settings to take amazing photos. We're going to be walking through from how to actually set up your camera application within settings, as well as I'm going to show you guys every nitty-gritty features within the camera applications. And at the end, I'm going to show you guys how to take a mediocre photo and turn it into an extraordinary photo by using my favorite photo editor. So definitely keep on watching until the end. All right, so first and foremost, let's go ahead and set up your camera in a proper way. Go ahead, open up your settings. Once you open your settings, you're going to scroll all the way down to your camera section. Right there, as you guys can see, camera. Open this up. So I'm going to walk you guys through from all these little features within this camera application. So in terms of video, these are my current settings. I believe these are best in terms of shooting for social media. This is what I do primarily. That's why I have all of these settings for video. By the way, guys, I've released a brand new exclusive iPhone wallpaper pack called Fresh. This Fresh wallpaper pack includes 14 different wallpapers within the pack. You guys can purchase this and get instant access. And by doing this, you'll be also supporting my channel and my work. Check it out, links in the description, and let me know what you guys think. Appreciate the support. Back to the video. Since this video's purpose is mostly about covering how to take amazing photos, we're going to be just diving into formats. So this is a super important and crucial part of taking a photo: file format. So by default, all the iPhone devices will be set to high efficiency. This is to save you space. High efficiency will save you a lot of space, but it will not be compatible with a lot of different devices. So I highly recommend, as a photographer, you can take most compatible. It's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to be compatible with a lot of different devices, and it's just a lot easier file format to work with, and you can do a lot more in terms of editing. So next feature is Pro RAW and resolution control. I believe iPhone, all the way from iPhone 11 Pro and latest, if you have the Pro versions, you will have this Pro RAW feature. And I cannot stress this enough, guys. This is one of the crazy features on iPhone where it lets you take a raw photo, then you can go back and edit this however you want. Raw files give you so much flexibility in terms of editing your photo in post-production after you've taken the photo. So definitely turn this off. Just because you turn this on, doesn't mean that you're going to be always taking Pro RAW, because if you go to your camera, you will just have an option right there that says RAW, and you can just, by simply clicking on and off, you can turn it on and off easily. It's just going to be at your fingertips. That's why having this turned on is so crucial, because let's say if you want to take a raw video, instead of going to settings and turning this on manually, it's going to be here. You can just click on and off, and you can just good to go. You can take raw whenever on the go. So this here tells you if you want to take Pro RAW at 12 megapixels or if you want to take up to 48 megapixels. This option is only available on iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max, as well as iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. So these are the only two devices have this 48 megapixels. But if you have the 48, choose it to the highest megapixel as possible, in my opinion. But obviously, you can also do 12 megapixels to save some space, but make sure this Pro RAW is on. Very, very crucial setting. Video capture, ProRes. Again, primary point of this video is not about how to take good videos. I can make a video on this as well if you just drop a comment down below. But ProRes is also same way. You take ProRes, it's going to be here available all the time if you just turn it on. I have it turned on just because that I love having this setting available whenever if I want to shoot ProRes, but it takes enormous amount of space. So it's up to you if you want to take it. But moving on, guys, if you go to preserve settings, this is the next option. Camera mode for me is turned on, macro control is turned on, as well as Pro RAW and resolution control is turned on, and live photo. So let's walk you through from the bottom part. Live photo, as you guys can see, it says preserve the live photo settings rather than automatically reset to live photo turned on. The reason why I turn this on is if this is off, every time I open my camera to take photo, it's gonna by default take a live photo, and I don't want that. I want to take a simple photo instead of having a live photo every time. So if you just turn this on, it's going to be just regular photo every time you open your camera, and super simple and easy. Apple ProRes, again, we talked about this. Action mode, portrait zoom, these are all personal preferences, but I don't have this turned on. Night mode's also not turned on by default. I like to have that option at night. It's going to give you the option to says night mode. If you tap on it, it's going to bring that yellow icon. So turn it off. You don't really need it, in my opinion. Exposure adjustment, I don't like to do any type of automatic adjustment. I like to do everything manually. I can adjust the exposure myself just by simply clicking on the screen, and then you guys can see exposure can be easily adjusted. Depth control, creative controls, camera modes. These are 3 settings that are left. Camera mode is the only one that is on. The reason being is that I can preserve the last mode instead of manually choosing which mode I want to take, simply because this is turned on. I like to take a lot of videos. Yeah, by default, every time you close the camera app and come back to it, it's gonna bring you to photos. But if you have that camera mode turned on, it's going to open up the camera app wherever you left off. I think this is a really cool feature. I like to leave it turned on. Moving on, record stereo sound. Again, this is for the video. Obviously, I have it turned on. Use volume up for burst. I have just turned it off because sometimes when trying to take a photo, trying to hold my camera, my iPhone properly for composition, it just clicks randomly, and I don't like to take burst by accidentally. That's why I've turned it off. Scan QR codes, show detected. These are all simple, straightforward. I have it turned on. And composition, this is the most crucial part. I have everything here turned on. You can turn off mirror friend. I have everything here turned on. Grid is basically, it's going to give you that beautiful lines on your screen. Just because of composition, you can adjust where your object could be. All the photographers love this grid. Just having this available will be really, really crucial. I can frame it properly and just make sure that it's falling into this 2/3 right here, as you guys can see. Lever is in order to adjust how, if it is straight or not. This is a personal preferences. But mirror front camera, this is a very important setting in my opinion as well. By default, mirror front camera will be turned off. What it means is that when it is off, it's going to flip your photo every time you take a selfie. For example, if you take a photo like this, it's going to be flipped after you've taken a photo. But if you turn on front mirror camera, it's going to be exactly as you see in your preview on your viewfinder. It's going to be same as how you see here. So that's why I like this feature. It's turn this mirror front camera. Otherwise, it will be flipped every time I take a selfie, basically. View outside the frame. Some people love it. Some people hate it. To be honest, I like to turn this off just because of how simple it looks, just like this one. I think this is just a lot of distraction if there is other things being outside of my frame. I think keeping it simple just like this is very, very important, and I like it that way. Photographic styles, these are all explanatory stuff, but I rarely use this photographic styles. But you can set up your camera in a way that it takes always in a specific style. For example, rich contrast or vibrant. I'm going to show you guys how to access this easily within the camera app in the next section, which is going to be about camera app and how to take a photo within the camera app. Prioritize faster shooting is also turned on. This is crucial for intelligently adapt image quality with rapidly pressing the shutter. This is a really good feature to turn on. Lens correction is also on. Macro control is also on. These are 2 different settings that are really important and was introduced lately on the iOS 17. So having them on is pretty crucial. So now that we have covered the basics within these settings and we have set up our camera application properly, we're going to go ahead and open up the camera application and give you a full tour and how you can use this camera app. I know some professional mobile photographers, they like to use different app than the one that's given in the default iPhone camera app, but I like to stick to camera app because this app, trust me when I say this app is pretty powerful if you know how to use it. A lot of people don't know the potential of it. A lot of people don't know how to access the proper features. I'm going to show you guys in today's video. So first of all, guys, this is how it looks like. Up top, you have the flashlight, you have the Pro RAW available, and this is for live. If you want to take a live photo, easily it's at your fingertips. Instead of it automatically taking live photo all the time, when we turn on that feature, it's going to be turned off. If for whatever reason, if I want to take live photo, I can just click and then take a live photo like this. And crucial step right here, guys, a lot of people don't know. Yeah, they only think that you can access these settings on the bottom by clicking on all the way up top, which is very, very inconvenient and hard to reach. You can also drop your phone while taking a photo, trying to reach all the way up top. Easier and better way to reach the settings is just with one hand. Look, you can just easily swipe up and down just like so. You don't have to actually reach all the way to top to bring these menus. You can easily do so. Many people don't know this, but within these settings over here, as you guys can see, I'm going to start from the right side. We have all of these different filters over here that you can take with. I like to stick to the original one. Besides that, you have the timer. You can set up a timer, 3-second or 10-second timer, where you can just position your iPhone, just maybe lean it to the wall and then take a selfie of yourself, or take a group photo, set it to 3 seconds or 10 seconds depending on how much time you need. Very, very useful feature. Exposure right here, as you guys can see, we can adjust the exposure ourselves instead of it automatically adjusting it. Let's say it's too bright scenario, you want to bring it down or bring it up. I don't mess around with exposure, to be honest, because I believe that iPhone itself does a really great job of setting the right settings. I can change the exposure and contrast in the photo editing section, but for the most part within here I like to keep it at the 0, just the default. And then from here you can also change the aspect ratio. You can do square, you can do 16:9 if you want to cover the full screen. This is really useful for taking photos for Instagram stories or Snapchat or any vertical content. I think this is really, really useful feature. And then next setting is photographic styles. You can easily access this within your camera easily with a click of a button. You can just switch between rich contrast, vibrant color. You have a bunch of different options. You can just save it as it is. For example, vibrant, cool. Because we enabled the photo mode early in the settings, it's gonna be saved exactly as how you save it. If I exit the app, close it, come back to it, it's gonna be same exact as I set up in the last settings or last time I shot with the camera app. I think this is really crucial, but I like to stick most of the time to standard just because I can mess around with all the different colors, all the different contrast, and how vibrant it is in the post-production. I like to do that at the end. I don't like how the result turns out in the portrait mode. If I take a regular photo, especially with iPhone 14 Pro Max, it does already a great job with blurring the background. It gives you a really depth that's blurred and really crisp, whereas the portrait just seems really artificial. It doesn't feel like a DSLR vibe. So I don't like to shoot with portrait, to be honest, that often. And panogram is also the same way. I rarely shoot with panogram unless there's like a tall buildings. I want to fit in the length of the building. I sometimes shoot as well with pano, but nonetheless I don't shoot that often. And one more thing I forgot to mention is if you're taking a pro raw photo, what you need to do once you take a photo, make sure you hold it for a few seconds. Don't shake it, don't move it, just hold it for a few seconds, because you guys can see it is loading every time you take a raw. It needs a little bit more time than a regular photo to process everything in the back end. That's why it's very important to click and then give it a few seconds before you move your camera, before you close your camera up. Really, really important. I thought I should mention. But the last section is the editing section, how we're gonna edit our photo. And the photo editor of my choice is Lightroom. This application is super powerful and it helps you take a mediocre photo to an extraordinary photo. I'm going to show you guys, for example, this photo. I went from this, which was a sunset photo. I took from this window over here. There was a beautiful sunset. I turned it into like this, where the colors are sharper, colors are a lot more standing out. I have adjusted the geometry of it. I have adjusted the colors. I have adjusted the contrast. You can do so much with this application. Let me go ahead and take a photo right now. All right, I just took a photo right now. I'm gonna go ahead and open up my Lightroom. So how it works is that you're gonna click on this plus menu icon. This is completely free app, by the way, available in the App Store. If you don't know, right here, as you guys can see, this is the application. You can also update it if you have an update. So once you open up the Lightroom, you're gonna click on this plus icon and then click on device and then just import the photo that you want to edit. So this is the photo that I just took. As you guys can see, beautiful view, beautiful photo that we took. We're gonna walk you through from the left side. Auto, I rarely use auto, to be honest. I don't think it does a really good job of automatically editing your photo. So I just move on to the light. I like to start off by adjusting the exposure to my liking, depending on how or what kind of vibe that I want to get from this photo. I like to, depending on the photo, obviously, I like to usually just increase the contrast a little bit, bring down the highlights and increase the shadows. And then whites, blacks, you can just play around with this. But the better way to edit would be using the curve. Obviously, you can do that S that many photographers talk about. You can have that S curve over here just to have that beautiful effect, as well as you can adjust the colors right away using this curve, and then right here as well. Obviously, you don't have to mess around with all of it, depending on what type of look you're trying to get. You guys can play around with it. Right here, as you guys can see, all the temperature already has been adjusted because I use that curve. The tint, vibrance, saturation, I like to go for a slightly saturated photo. That's why I always increase it, but don't overdo it more than, I would say, 10 plus 10. Anything above that will will look really artificial. And then you have the lens blur option. We don't have to do any lens blurring. This is basically like a portrait. That portrait mode, you can do that after in the post-production where you're editing the photo. Actually, if you have a main object, if you took a portrait, you can just tap onto the face and then blur the background manually, or vice versa. You can focus on the background and remove the focus from the object, from the face of the person as well. It's a really cool feature, but again, it gives you that little bit of a artificial look. That's why I don't mess around with blur that often. And then you have the effects. If you want to get any type of effects, you have it. I like to usually increase the texture a little bit, clarity as well, and vignette I don't touch with it. Grain, if you're posting for social media, giving a little bit of grain, yeah, manual artificial grain looks a little bit I think really cool in my opinion, just because of how that retro feel it gives. I like that. And then detail, obviously you can reduce the noise reduction. I like to do that maybe maximum 2. And then the details, I like to increase the details slightly. And then color noise, smoothness, I don't mess with the smoothness, to be honest. And one of the cool features on Lightroom is that if you, let's say, accidentally increased the setting, and if you want to just go back to the default, you can just double tap. It's going to bring it back to that original default setting. I think it's really cool. Optics, I don't mess around with this except maybe doing a little bit of lens correction, but as you guys saw in the camera settings, I enabled lens correction by default, so no need to use for this most of the time. As well, here you have the adaptive sky, you have all the different presets. Dark drama, I like to use this one, for example. And if you just click on this, you can reduce the intensity of this specific preset. But once you have done everything, you guys can also adjust the aspect ratio. You can do auto geometry. If you click on this, it's gonna change the geometry by itself. I like to use that feature a lot actually. And if it is a little bit shaky, if it's not correctly composed, then you guys can mess around with here as well. Over here, as you guys can see, if you click on this pen icon over here, gonna bring you up to this feature. And this is by far my favorite feature, where I can play around with the distortion, can play around with crop right here, vertical, horizontal, just fix it in a way that it just looks natural, it looks just professional. I can do a lot of adjustments. If I took a slightly twisted, slightly like not properly composed photo, I can play around with this. But nonetheless, this is looking pretty clean in my opinion. X offset, Y offset, it just moves it up and down or left and right. But once you're done, guys, this is how it looks like. And take a look at the result. Before, where it was just a mediocre photo, to after. Look at this. Beautiful, skies are popping, colors are a lot more vibrant, saturation is increased, we have a really good contrast, highlights are brought down, shadows are looking pretty decent as well. You guys can see a difference. Boom, boom. Before, after. Before, after. You guys get the idea. Once you're done with it, you're gonna click on this export and then export as, and then you guys can choose the best settings. You can do JPEG, you can do PNG, and then the dimensions, you can do dimension also the highest, and image quality also, as well as 100%, unless you're running low on space, your storage. You can also include your watermark. If you're a professional photographer, you want to have your watermark underneath your photo, you guys can also do that. Once you're done, click on OK, and it's gonna export it. Give it a few seconds. Since this is a raw file that we just edited, and exporting it's gonna take a few seconds. But boom, once it's saved, you're ready to go, it's gonna show up in your photo library. But nonetheless, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this in-depth photo settings tutorial, how to set up the best iPhone camera settings, take amazing photos. I hope this video was useful. If it was, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and also leave me a big thumbs up, because it really helps my YouTube channel out so that we can reach to more people and help to solve their problems as well. If you're new to my channel, consider taking a look at my channel and subscribing, because we upload tech videos weekly and they're really helpful, just like this one. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.